BTS News Today. That morning, the air on set felt different. The sun had not fully risen yet, but the scene was already bathed in the glow of spotlights reflecting off the tall glass buildings nearby. Crew members bustled about, preparing everything needed for the day's first shot. In the middle of the commotion, BTS's Jimin stood with a serious expression, yet still radiating the kind of charm that made it hard for anyone to look away. He was getting ready for an important scene, part of a filming project that had been kept strictly secret from the public. No one expected that a morning that was supposed to run according to schedule would turn into a moment that shook not only the crew, but also the global entertainment world. While the cameras were being adjusted and the director was giving final instructions, a sudden commotion arose near the entrance gate. Some staff members whispered to each other with shocked expressions. Then, through the gap in the crowd, appeared a familiar figure, Jungkook. There had been no prior announcement, no official schedule, and even Jimin's manager seemed surprised by his arrival. Jungkook walked in with a casual yet confident stride, wearing a black hoodie, dark jeans, and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Even so, nothing could hide his charismatic aura. The cameras that usually focused solely on the filming suddenly turned to capture this moment. Jimin, still holding his script, froze for a second. His eyes widened, as if trying to make sure he wasn't hallucinating. The moment their eyes met, there was an unspoken pause between them, a silence louder than any sound on set. Jimin's expression shifted from surprise to a faint smile, almost imperceptible, yet enough to make several crew members exchange glances, wondering what was really going on. Without much hesitation, Jungkook walked closer. He stopped just a few meters from Jimin and spoke in a low voice, only audible to Jimin and those closest to them. No one could hear exactly what he said, but Jimin's reaction revealed a mix of emotions, surprise, joy, and perhaps a hint of nervousness. There was a glimmer in his eyes that suggested Jungkook's presence was no coincidence. Some sources on set claimed that Jungkook had already been in the city since the previous night, but no one knew exactly why. Some believed he came to give personal support to Jimin, especially since this project was rumored to be highly significant for Jimin's solo career. Others speculated that Jungkook might secretly be involved in the project, either as a cameo or part of the creative team behind the scenes. The moment became even more intriguing when the director, initially looking puzzled, finally approached Jungkook. They exchanged a few words, followed by a broad smile from the director. Soon after, a crew member brought over a folding chair and placed it near the director's monitor, a spot usually reserved for important project personnel. Jungkook sat there, his eyes glued to every scene Jimin performed. During a filming break, Jimin was seen approaching Jungkook. They spoke for quite a while, their body language relaxed yet filled with meaning. Occasionally, Jimin laughed softly, and Jungkook would lower his head with a smile, as if sharing a secret known only to the two of them. Crew members recording the moment with their phones seemed unable to resist, even though most of those clips would likely never be officially released. Outside the set, news of Jungkook's sudden appearance spread like wildfire on social media. Hashtags of their names quickly shot to the top of trending topics, even though HYB had yet to release any official statement. Many armies expressed their excitement, while others began forming theories about the two BTS members' behind-the-scenes connection. Was this a sign of a new collaboration? Or were they planning something that would take the world by surprise? By afternoon, the atmosphere on set grew warmer. Jungkook, who at first had simply been watching, began talking to some of the technical crew. He seemed to give input on the lighting for one of the scenes, sparking speculation that he indeed had a special role in the project. Jimin appeared increasingly energized each time he returned from filming a scene and glanced Jungkook's way, as if his presence gave him extra motivation. As the sun tilted westward, the day's final shoot wrapped up. Jimin walked off set, removing his costume jacket, and made his way to Jungkook. The two of them walked side by side toward a black van waiting at the corner of the location. Some crew members noticed them chatting with wide smiles, a rare sight in public. Without further words, they entered the van together, leaving everyone who witnessed the scene with a burning curiosity. One thing was clear: Jungkook's sudden appearance on Jimin's filming set was no ordinary surprise. It was a signal that behind the dazzling screens, a story was being carefully woven, a story that might soon stir the hearts of fans worldwide. That afternoon, The aroma of coffee from the crew's table mixed with a faint trace of perfume carried by the wind. The set began to quiet down as some crew members started packing up equipment. Yet, in the corner near the monitor, the two figures remained: Jimin, who had just finished removing light makeup, and Jungkook, looking increasingly at ease after hours on set. There were no official media invited to the shoot, but in the era of phone cameras and social media, moments like this could never stay completely hidden. From outside the fence, a few fans, who somehow had found the location, peeked in, some even daring to snap photos through gaps. Camera flashes occasionally lit up the area. Security staff moved to manage them, but whispers of Jungkook at Jimin's filming set had already spread online almost instantly. Meanwhile, inside, their interaction grew noticeably more familiar. Jungkook sat with one leg folded up on his chair, leaning slightly forward as he watched Jimin talk animatedly. Jimin gestured with his hands to reenact a scene he had just filmed, and occasionally Jungkook chuckled softly, a laugh that felt more like quiet relief than casual amusement. "Seriously, you came just to watch me film?" Jimin asked, his tone a mix of surprise and amusement. Jungkook gave a small nod, his eyes still fixed on him. "Why? Not allowed." Jimin chuckled, patting his shoulder lightly. "It's allowed, it's just that you usually hate crowded places like this." "I don't hate them," Jungkook replied with a brief sigh. "Not if what I'm looking at is you." The words sounded light, but Jimin immediately fell silent for a moment. There was something in Jungkook's gaze, not just the usual support between group members, but a depth of care too strong to disguise. Jimin looked down, pretending to check his phone, but he couldn't hide his smile. The director, who had been watching them from a distance, finally approached with a sheet of script. "Jungkook SSI, do you have a moment? I'd like to show you something." Jungkook stood and followed the director toward the cameras. Apparently, they were discussing a possible additional scene requiring a mysterious cameo, and although no decision was made yet, it was obvious the idea didn't just appear out of nowhere. Jimin watched from afar, frowning slightly, but also curious. Was Jungkook actually going to appear in this project? If so, that meant the secret was far bigger than he had imagined. Outside, fans who had caught on to their presence began to panic on social media. A single blurry photo showing Jungkook's silhouette next to Jimin had already gained thousands of retweets. Some took it as proof of a collaboration. Others insisted it was a personal meeting caught on camera. HYBE remained silent, and their lack of comment only fueled more speculation. As the sun fully dipped below the horizon, the air turned colder. Additional lights were set up for the night scenes, and Jungkook still hadn't left the set. He even offered to hold a large umbrella for Jimin when a light drizzle began to fall, a sight that made some crew members glance at each other with knowing smiles. The drizzle slowly turned into a thin rain, soaking the set's pavement. Under the glow of spotlights, each raindrop looked like a crystal falling from the sky. In the midst of this scene, the final shot of the night was filmed, Jimin walking alone in the rain, his expression a mix of sadness and hope. And right behind the monitor, Jungkook stood completely still, his eyes fixed on Jimin's every move. When the director finally called "cut" for the last time that night, the entire crew applauded. Jimin let out a sigh of relief, then walked toward Jungkook, who was already holding a dry towel. He handed it to him without a word, but his gaze said everything.